Hi, it's Danny Fleming.
And Marcus Collins from MA Properties.
And we're here to do an Advanced Selling Strategies Masterclass. So what do we mean by that? Well, we do a whole... Oh, I need to turn, there you go, the laptop's on. So we are live streaming to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And so if you've got any questions, that's why I've got my laptop here. If you've got any questions as we're going through this, then just type them out and we'll do what we can to answer them. But the Advanced Selling Strategies Masterclass, our normal monthly masterclasses sort of go into a whole lot of sections in depth. Where in the Advanced Selling Strategies, there's a couple of areas that people ask us lots and lots of questions about. So they're the sections that we're really going to go in depth with this evening. So we're going to be skimming over some parts. If you've got any questions about it, let us know.
Okay, let's get the show on the road, because I can see that there's Danny added a whole load of what people usually always ask for, lots of before and afters. So I can see 122.
Well, that's 122 slides. There's not 122 before and afters, but there's quite a few.
There's quite a few. Let's get going.
So anyway, look, where smart moves made here. That's our slogan. That is. It's smart moves are made here. Buying and selling a home is too important to leave to chance. And it's too important to let every decision be guided by emotions and first impressions alone. So we want to give you the information. So it's not driven, so you're working at it from the perspective of understanding the market rather than thinking about how things are going or not really sure. So our agenda for this evening, well, to get the highest price for a home, which is really the aim of everything that we do and where the advanced selling strategies come into play, there are 5 key areas, 5 pillars, 5 key areas to maximize the price. Smart decisions, preparation, staging, marketing, excellence through teamwork. So we are going to be concentrating on the preparation and staging phase. We're going to just sort of give a little bit of smart decisions, a little bit of marketing, and a little bit in excellence through teamwork. So
over to
there
me.
we go. Yeah.
All right, smart decisions it is then. Relatively easy to get data and information today. What's much more difficult, and what we always focus on, of course, is taking that information, making sense of it, and converting it into knowledge, if you will. Getting that analysis. And so that's really the key of what we do when it comes to smart decisions. We used to include a lot of information around what's happening in the market in this seminar, but found that we have so much to cover that it detracted from everything else. So tomorrow night now, what we are going to do, I think.
Yep.
I'm going to do.
We are going to
do.
It's the royal we.
The royal we.
Yes.
We're going to do a live stream, and we're going to focus in depth tomorrow evening, which is Wednesday. If you're watching, if you're not watching this live, then you'll have to go find it on YouTube. But
no. Read the next line. No, we have the recordings that we posted on mapropertiesonline.com/blog.
So first thing, 6 o'clock tomorrow, Wednesday, we will focus on Lexington. Takes about 3/4 of an hour normally to go through it. We'll talk a little bit about 2020. Now, as we start to get really into 2021, starting to see some homes closing, we'll kind of bring it much more up to date.
And you need to see that. That's
you
need to see.
Yeah,
that.
There's a lot going on. Even though we've only seen realistically 2 months of closings, 4 months of sales. There's a lot going on.
But we've had a lot of homes go under agreement, so we know what's going on with them before they even close. So that's we're going to give you some insight as to what's actually happening.
Yeah, so it's not so much 2021 predictions as a little bit of what we think will happen in the rest of 21. A lot of what's happening right now. So. Yeah. Lexington at 6, Arlington at 7, and then if you have questions about other towns, because on our website we have lots of information, and we'll give you a quick glimpse of that
50
tomorrow.
Towns, 50
right.
plus towns.
Then we can kind of cover that as well. So that's kind of the in-depth analysis that we're going to cover tomorrow night. So I'm not going to kind of do it in this one, but we're going to do a little bit in this one because, it's really important to know what questions to answer and, and ultimately to trust the people who represent you. Because what you know or don't know is really going to impact your outcome in a very real sense. So, first question we want to ask really, who are today's buyers? Because as we think about being a seller in this market, it's clear to understand who the buyers are. And to do that, we need to look at some demographics, first of all. This is 2015 data. Hopefully we'll get new data with the census that is slowly but surely being rolled out over the next 6 to 12 months. But this shows you how many people are in which age bracket. So lowest at the bottom, and it goes up to oldest at the top. Two important areas there, two bumps, if you will, two areas or two age brackets where you've got more people. The top one there is the baby boomers, those children who were born after World War II. Now the important thing, they are just coming into retirement age. And with retirement comes downsizing. The lower group there, the lower yellow bar, are the first-time home buyers, the so-called millennials. They are just beginning to think now, I need to move into my first home. They're beginning to kind of think about moving into that initial home.
And I mean, our 27-year-old son, who's currently living with us with his fiance, they're waiting to hear whether they have a successful offer on a home today. First-time home buyers, exactly that demographic that we're talking about.
So that's kind of who today's buyers are, and that you'll see as we kind of play out into the next sections why those two demographics are really important. The other thing which is of interest, of course, is interest rates. What are interest rates going to do? We just downloaded this data today. As you can see, it kind of fluctuates a lot. What's interesting, though, is that it is beginning to kind of tick up. This graph here shows you how we anticipate it will tick up. I'm going to play with this because I've just got this. Look at that. So this blue, sorry about that. Boys with their toys. This blue is the historical data, but what's much more important, of course, is these green areas here. And as you can see, that is beginning to kind of tick up as we think about rest of 2021 and 2022.
And that's not us predicting that. That's the mortgage pundits, the pundits that are all predicting that. So
what's important, though, is to think about when will this begin to have a serious impact on today's buyers. Before, when we were back, we were starting to do these seminars, back in sort of 2015, 16. Masterclasses. They were seminars then, by the way.
They're masterclasses now. That's the important part.
We were, interest rates coming up to about 4.5% or so. We will begin to ask that question: are they still going to rise? Are they going to continue to rise? And are we getting to the point at which they're going to start impacting buyers' ability to buy, ability to get a loan? The pundits at the time were saying somewhere around 5.5% to 6% is where it will have a material impact. We're a long way from that. We'll see how the rest of the year plays out, of course. But we are a long way from that. So I don't interest rates, not to be worried about too much. And certainly as we talk tomorrow night about the strength of the market, and specifically buyer demand, you'll see that interest rates are not really a concern for today's buyers. So let's get into the meat of it, if you like, the advance. And one question we always get is, how do I buy? How do I sell? Timing a buy and a sell. How do I do that? How do I navigate the problem of I need to sell before I can buy? And it's important to before we kind of get into the different strategies, to look at the seasonality in the year.
And we should clarify, this is in a normal market. This is normal market seasonality. We didn't see this in 2020, just the whole year. Well, from about June onwards was just crazy to buy. And we're not seeing it so much now, but we just don't know where it's going to go at the end of the year. But this is a normal market seasonality.
Yeah, so we've showed the data here for 2019 because, as Danny said, this is the normal market and what we would expect. So the first kind of orange bar, pink bar, is the so-called spring market. Starts sometime around February. It depends on the weather, of course. Is it early February? Is it late February? But it starts about then and begins to slow down as we get into July, because many buyers are focused on getting their children into the school system. and it takes about 6 weeks to buy a home, 6 to 8 weeks to buy a home. And so once you get to that mid-July, you're kind of running out of time to get your children into the school system. Less of a concern in towns that aren't necessarily dominated by schools. For example, if I'm thinking about an Arlington, where you've got many people moving into the town, beginning to think about the school system, not necessarily in it right now. Whereas if you're in Lexington, Winchester, Belmont, that becomes much more important as your children get somewhat older.
And I have to say, I disagree that it finishes by about mid-July. He hates me disagreeing with him. I sort of see it going until the end of July, definitely, right. Because it's really, the quickest you can do a mortgage is about 4 weeks. So if a buyer hasn't got a home under agreement by the beginning of August, they're normally just slowing right down and not doing anything. So I think, yes, mid-July is a great time to still, if you haven't got your home on the market, come on fast. Just don't leave it until the end of July.
Right. Then there's a kind of dip in the August timeframe, and then we get that short, sharp, not so necessarily sharp, but certainly short, so-called fall market. Last year, 2020, we'll see what happens in 2021. That did extend into November, but in a normal year, it really is end of August, going through to the October timeframe. Now, that's important because as a buyer and a seller, if you look at the bars that are behind that pink area, you really want to be a seller when there aren't many homes on the market. You want to be the only home on the market in that price point. But conversely, you want to be a buyer when there are lots of homes on the market. And so as we think about timing a buy and a sell from a seller's perspective, we think about, well, let's try and sell while there's not that many homes on the market. There's scarcity. Much more likely to sell for a higher price, yet time it such that when you're looking to buy a home, that's when more homes come on the market. And you can see in the graph there, the early part of the spring market is really when you should be thinking about coming on the market. End of the spring market, you're looking at this graph here, April, May, June timeframe, when the majority of homes come on the market, is a great time to be a buyer. Now, having said that, that's an ideal world. In an ideal world, this is what you should do. Clearly, there's a lot going on in terms of being able to time it, but that's kind of the crux of many of the strategies as we think about timing a buy and a sell, is beginning to think about, can you time the kind of come on where there's not many homes, buy when there are a lot of homes. So there are lots of different scenarios. From recollection, about 6. I don't want to necessarily get into the detail of them. There are lots of details behind this, but some of the things to think about is, do you already have somewhere to move? Do you already have a holiday home or a retirement home? Maybe you bought a house in Maine or in New Hampshire, maybe even in Florida. Do you already have that in place? That's something to think about.
Or even a rental. A lot of people are talking at the moment of getting into a rental, right, so that they could bring their home on the market now while it's crazy, and they don't want to be rushing to buy something. So let's just get a rental for 12 months, right, and take our time.
That's actually one of the strategies we'll cover in a minute. Do you need to buy? Can you buy without needing to sell? I mean, many people think that, well, I need to sell my current home before I can buy something. Is that actually true? Can you carry 2 mortgages, perhaps not for very long, but do you actually need to sell your home before you buy? That's an important question to ask a lender to see if that actually, what you think is reality, actually is reality. And then the third one, which is the most complex, of course, you do actually need to sell in order to buy. And there are a couple of different scenarios. But let me kind of quickly show you through these. They're all done in very much the same way. If I show you the first one, you already have somewhere to move to. The top line is always the buy, the bottom line is always the sell. And the relative position of the phases in this, dictate time. So time goes from left to right as I'm looking at it here. So that's the way to think of it. So if you have somewhere to move, I'll just explain this one, then we'll zip through the rest. If you already have somewhere to move to, basically you get an accepted offer on the buy, you close, and then you, back to that timing question, you begin to time bringing your home on the market to be in the peak time. So an ideal world, you might get an accepted offer towards the end of the year. you may carry your existing home over the winter, bringing it on back into that early February timeframe when there are very few homes on the market, but there are lots of buyers out. So that's how these strategies play out. And specifically, when we're looking about the timing of this, we're taking into account that timing of buy and a sell, that market, cyclic nature of the market. That's kind of how it works. So first one is, it's nice and easy, of course. Here's where you buy without needing to sell. Again, you can begin to time that when you bring your home on the market. What's interesting in all of these, though, we kind of minimize it a little bit, but this is really laying into the next section that Danny's going to talk about. Getting your home ready to come on the market is really important, especially as you come to the scenarios where you need to sell before you buy. There can be a relatively quick turnaround between buying and selling. And so it's important to get that preparation phase, which Danny will talk about in a minute, out of the way before you even kind of start this whole process. So back to that planning, one of the things we talk about in the seminars is always, plan to succeed. Plan this is going to work. You are going to buy a home, and therefore you need to sell your home. Therefore, do much of that preparation up front, as far up front as you can, in order to pull these off.
Yep.
First scenario where you do have to sell before you buy is you buy with a home sale contingency. As you'll see tomorrow, that's pretty tough in this market in most towns, of course. The next one is, as Danny mentioned, perhaps you're thinking, I'm going to rent. Maybe if I can't coincide my buy and a sell, maybe I'll rent for a while. You can do that to tide you over. The other strategy, of course, is to rent, put your home on the market and just rent. Which we've seen many people do as well, to capitalize on the strength of the market we see right now.
Yep.
And then the last strategy is to get a bridging loan. Back to talking to lenders, not just about do I need to sell before I buy, but can I actually get a bridging loan to tide me over for that period where perhaps I own two homes. Might only be a couple of months or so, but it's important to kind of think about that. So there are lots of different strategies. As you can see here, there's lots of details. And the devil is in the details. So it really is important. To be able to go through each of these, understand what your circumstances are, and then kind of see which strategy actually works for you. Timing a buy and a sell. Pricing strategy.
Okay, so there's a couple of different options. You can realistically price, or you can overprice. Overpricing is not a great idea. We provide a detailed, accurate market analysis with a recommendation as to where we would recommend you come on the market at. But it's still your decision. You decide the price for your home. It's not our decision. This is where the experience of your agent is key. Understanding exactly what's going on in the market at the moment, so important. But again, we come into realistically price or overprice. Shouldn't overprice. Why do I say this? Let's get on to the next one. Now, in 2020, this is some data for a town that's an extremely buoyant demand town. Even in 2020, when the market was beginning to heave, just like it is now, 49% of the homes that came on the market in 2020 sold for below the asking price. Even in a really buoyant market, 49% sold below the asking price and 51% sold for over the asking price. So part of where we're going with these advanced selling strategies is we want you to be in the 51% or more, that sell for over the asking price, because it's not a really pleasant feeling to be in the 49% that sell for below the asking price, because if you're not selling your home, you've got your home on the market and it's not selling, and you're getting lowball offers, or you're getting offers in that are below the asking price, it really is quite a downer for a seller. Nobody likes my home.
One thing you might mention is we did this data for 2021 as well.
Yes, right? Absolutely. And
so we did this. We
can cover it tomorrow too. But yeah,
okay.
Say now for this particular town.
Yeah. So we did this data for 2021. to give you a sneak peek of tomorrow, 2021 has been a very buoyant year. Supply's up, demand is up, inventory is low. So it's a very, very strong year. And yet these ratios of 49 or 50-50, if you like, play out as well throughout what we've been able to see in 2021. So even in a very strong market, and it's a strong town and a strong market, still we see these ratios. I anticipated those ratios would be much more skewed to over the asking price.
And I think
but
you were telling us,
they weren't.
You were telling us in one of our agent meetings, you were describing that you expected the majority of the homes that sell for under the asking price to be in the higher price ranges. And yet you were surprised that there was a dozen or so that were below $1 million.
Yeah, there was no obvious correlation between sale price and sale price to list price ratio, which is what you see here.
So part of what we're doing in this Advanced Selling Strategies Masterclass
Sorry about that. I'm going to turn my phone
is to try and show you the sorts of things that are really good return on investment things and creates demand for your home so that you're in that 51% that sell for over the asking price. Because the worst thing you can do, as I was sort of saying before, is if your home's not selling, it's a downer. It's much better if there's people competing to buy your home. And that's, wow, this is great. And it's only a short time frame as well. So it just makes you feel good about everything. And hey, the last 15 months, it's good to have some things to feel good about. So this is why we're doing this. But here's a graph that shows the days on the market on the bottom axis and the sale price to list price ratio on the y-axis. Y. Oh God, it's been way too long since I've done a math class. Anyway,
days on the market is the X mark.
Do you want to show your toy where the first weekend?
Oh, okay. See, I knew I'd get to use it. I get to use it. Here we go.
There. Right. The first weekend you're on the market is when you are going to have over 100% sales. They typically
sale price to list price ratio.
Yep. They typically, as you go further along the days on the market, the trend line is down, and it's tough to get a sale price to list price ratio over 100% once you've been on the market for a few times. For a little while. Now, when we say realistically priced, let's talk about the realistically priced and the overprice options. Realistically priced, we're not talking about underpricing, we're just talking about realistically pricing. So what happens is it creates excitement. Really, we get a lot of excitement and energy about the market. Just today, one of the agents in our team, she bought an $840,000 home on the market and it's got 22 offers on it. I have an offer on I probably shouldn't mention this because we don't know whether we've got it yet. But it creates excitement. It's a really positive feeling with that. Now, we've got metrics that tell us, and we've been tracking metrics metrics on showings and all of this for over 2 years.
Yeah, over 2 years now.
And we see a tight correlation with numbers. If we see 40 plus online viewings of the 3D tour in the first 2 days, that typically correlates tightly with 20 plus private showings of the home in the 4 days it's on the market, because the aim is to bring the home on the market on the Thursday and review offers on the Tuesday. That's where we get the highest price for a home. And if we get 20 plus private showings of the home, it tightly correlates with 2 plus offers on the Tuesday. So all of this is all what happens when you realistically price a home. And part of the realistically price.
Home with 22 offers to see. That definitely applies.
Okay, and we'll show you that in a minute. But part of that is setting an offer deadline. Now, when you realistically price, it's not just that you get a higher price for your home. If you've got multiple offers, we typically see that if we get over 5 offers on a home, most probably a large proportion, 50% at least, have no inspection contingency. Again, even in this market now, if we're seeing over 5 offers, we're seeing a lot of offers coming in with no mortgage contingency. That's huge because that means a very, very clean transaction. And if there's multiple offers, it often results in a price received for the seller of over the market value because the buyers are competing with one another. When they're writing an offer for a home, they're now starting to imagine themselves living in the home and where their furniture is going to go. And if there's other buyers that want that home, it's mine. I've got to get it. I've got to get it. And this is where the number of offers is important. If you've got a home that has 2 offers on it, then when the agent comes back and says, we have 2 offers, come in with your best and final. Yeah, you know your offer, you're only competing against one other person. Maybe you'll increase your offer a little bit, but you may not sort of go crazy over it. But if the agent comes back and tells you that there's 15 offers on the home, I want this home. How much higher do I need to go to get this home because I'm going to do it? So the number of offers plays into it as well. And it happens across all price ranges, even over $2 million. We bought a $2.1 million home on the market 2 weekends ago, and we had 14 offers on the home. It happens over $2 million. It's come and join us tomorrow night. We'll talk about
that tomorrow night. Yeah.
Sorry.
More about that tomorrow night. Sorry about the tea.
So we could just go down a rabbit hole if we keep going.
Let's not.
So let's talk about the overprice option. Well, you know how we just said before, smart moves made here? When you overprice, that's a bad move. It is. It's a bad move because the buyers know the value of your home. They have been going to homes week after week after week after week in their price range. So they know when a home comes on the market, they know it's overpriced and they may not even come and see it. A lot of sellers think that even if I overprice, someone will make an offer. To get buyers in the door for them to even think about making an offer, it's got to be at a price that they think, well, I wonder if it's going to be that price. If it's overpriced, they won't even come and see the home. Or they're going to make a deal, they're looking for a deal, or they're going to lowball you. Small price reductions do nothing. Large price reductions will stimulate activity if that price adjustment puts it into the realistic price market value range for the home. When you overprice, you will always have a home inspection contingency, always. And then that's an opportunity for the buyers to renegotiate the price again, and that's all fraught with angst. And the buyer, if you've overpriced and you've only got one offer, the buyer's got the upper hand in negotiating the terms and conditions. That's just the way it goes. But let's give you an example of something, and I'm not going to name the address of the home, nothing else, but here's a recent example of what happens when you overprice. I did a market analysis on the home, and the market value range was about 1.8 to 1.850. The seller didn't choose me to list the home. Okay. 10 days after the seller told me that they weren't going to use me, I understood why, because the home came on the market for $2,095,000. So that's almost $300,000 over the market value range. It was on the market for 64 days and then they cancelled it. But then the same day they bought it on the market for $1,875,000. That's a $200K price adjustment, 200 in one hit. But look at this, nothing happened. 4 months later, it dropped another 50K. Then we got to the beginning of December in 2019. It expired off the market. Now remember, the market value range when they first bought the home on the market was 1.8 to 1.850. Then they bought it on the market at the beginning of last year. Sure, COVID was in play, but homes were still selling. There was only just one period of time in April where things just slowed down. But then homes came back on the market beginning of May, and it's been full steam ahead, moving forward. So back at the end of February, they came on at 1788, below the market value range. And this is the impact of overpricing, because the home gets stale. The buyers didn't look at it until 3 months later. Sorry, I just almost lost my mouse. 3 months later, it went under agreement. It was contingent, so there was an inspection, because it didn't go under agreement until 10 days after that, after they negotiated the inspection further, ended up selling for 1.7. So this cost the seller, by overpricing by 300K, it cost the seller an extra 100K off the market value range of where it was over a year earlier.
And there was a year's worth of appreciation missed there.
Yeah.
So you can add probably another 5% to that. If you were to do the market analysis at the same time in 2020, just general price appreciation would bring it forward anywhere from 3 to 5%. So you can add that one in as well, so that the actual loss was even higher than that.
It really was. And,
Right.
and this is the sad part about it. And this is why we try and explain this, and we'll do the market analysis we do. I think I spend something like 10, 12 hours on them, on each one, because it needs to be accurate. And to be honest, I'm pretty accurate. I mean, analytical.
Yes, dear.
Yeah. I'm pretty analytical.
Of course, right. I mean, I've read the market now. No, but it's important to note that not only is it analytical, but it's also detailed to the point that there's a very clear compare and contrast between the candidate home and the home you're comparing it to.
Yeah.
So the sellers can understand why you've put a value on it. This home will sell for more than this home because it's in a better location, on a cul-de-sac, not a busy street, whatever it may be. And so not only is it very analytical, it's easy to read too.
Because the aim is to have you read it and you understand where the market value range comes from and why the estimate is there. So overpricing, it is really a bad move. But it's still a seller's call as to what price to come on the market. Need to sort of stress that. So let's get into preparation. We want your home to sell for more than the asking price. We want competition. What do we mean by preparation? Well, buyers want move-in ready. They don't want to really have to come in and do much. And when we say do much, we're not talking about renovating a house. We're talking about having a home so that the buyer can just wheel their suitcase in, unpack, and they don't need to worry about anything until they've been living in the home for a little bit, and maybe they'll want to do this and maybe they'll want to do that. So it's
important because we show you who today's buyers are. Today it's a very strong market. Buyers are having to pay a lot of money for a home, and at the end of that exercise, they don't have any more money. Looking at pre-approvals, looking at how much money they've got, they're spending everything they've got to buy that home. Yeah. To then turn around and say, oh, well, by the way, you could of course replace the kitchen, and I don't have the money to replace the kitchen. Yeah. I mean, that's the key. They're just looking at the offers that we're seeing on these homes, buyers are being pushed to the limit in many cases. Yeah. They've got nothing left.
And they also don't know how much something's going to cost. Very typically we see this, that a buyer who hasn't had to do certain things around a home, or it's been a while, or they don't know who to call, they don't, all of this sort of stuff, they will often inflate their estimated cost to do something far, far higher, sometimes 10, 20 times more than what something would actually take to actually remedy. So remember, they're going to take that off the sale price that they're willing to pay, because they're going to have to, they're in their minds, they're going to have to spend XYZ multiplied by 20 or multiplied by 10 to actually fix something that they see needs doing. So no one answer fits all. Every house is different. I love coming in and giving people advice on, well, if you're thinking about selling, even I was talking today to someone who's thinking about selling in 2 years' time. And we're talking about painting a couple of rooms and getting this done now in preparation for selling, so that it's not all done in the last 2 weeks before coming on the market and you're frazzled and all of this sort of stuff. But it's key. We're not talking about major renovations. Absolutely not. Because major renovations are okay, like putting in a new kitchen, but you need to plan to stay in the home for at least 2 years and enjoy the renovations yourself, because it takes a lot of work to do those sorts of things. And don't do it thinking that you're going to get a higher price for your home. I mean, you will, but the turmoil and the effort and the money that you're spending, maybe you could have done it for a lot less money and still got a great result. So we'll come in and give you advice on the highest return on investment tasks. Let me give you a clue on that. It's paint. Purely and simply, it's paint. And we'll show you why. There might be a couple of things to do. Well, I'll give you advice, or we'll give you advice. Sorry, I'm saying me.
I don't do paint colours, by the way. I'm putting it out there just right now. I do not do paint colours. That is Danny's world. I do other things. Paint colours is not my world. I can check out the basement for you. I can tell you what to do in the basement.
So we'll also give you advice on the priority order of things to do, because sometimes we go in and a seller might have 5 things that they want to do, and I'll say, well, leave that one to last. It's really not going to make much of a difference. These couple are the really important ones to do first. If you get time to do that one, sure, but don't do that one first. And I'll also give advice on projects not worth doing. Unfortunately, we see a lot of people spending money on things that isn't going to increase the value of the home. And that's another masterclass. That's another masterclass. They're all on our blog page on our website, maproperties.com/blog. You can go there.
Okay.
So the preparation, it can range from providing contractor resources, assisting with getting quotes for work to be done, coordinating with the contractors, overseeing the project in conjunction with the seller. But the key component is you decide the level of assistance you'd like, because we get some people who just want names of contractors that are good. And then we had one seller a couple of years ago who said, I just want to be an interested observer. So we organized everything. He just wanted to be an interested. And he observed, and we were successful with his home.
It's not me, I could not do that, but anyway, that's okay.
So there are several options available with preparation. You can do nothing. Buyers and developers compete for homes just as much as home buyers do. Or you can do minor cleanup and cosmetic improvements. For the buyers who want move-in ready, you can do updates. Now, updates again we'll go through some of these, but most of the time, the different things that we're talking about, the key thing is to spend your money wisely. I'm not going to come in and suggest something that'll cost $2,000 to do and you'll get a $2,000 increase in sale price. That's just busy work. I might suggest something that might cost $5,000 or $10,000 to do, and you might get a $50,000 or $60,000 increase in sale price. That's a high return on investment. But it's a graduated scale from cosmetic to renovations, and I'm going to show you some examples of these as well. But it's also dependent on your time frame for moving, some of the things to do. So what do we mean by minor preparation? I'm not covering the selling as is, because you don't need to do anything if you're selling to selling as is and not doing anything. But in the minor preparation, some homes get a good return on investment with things like just decluttering or advanced packing. or touching up paint on walls and trim. I'm not talking about painting, I'm talking about touching up paint. Depends on the condition of the walls and things. Or shampooing carpets. Here's an example of a home where paint on walls and trim. This home here on the left, it had been a FSBO. Now, a FSBO is a for sale by owner. Yep. It's a for sale by owner. Then it had been on the market for over a year with another agent, and not selling. Then it had been a for sale by owner again, and then they listed with us. Now, what you can see is the trees. Here's the final. The trees have gone. We did some mulch around here, but the key component is we painted the trim on the windows, we painted the trim around the garage doors, and we painted the garage doors. Because these were a sort of a plum purple color in the old thing. And that's not what the buyers, that's sort of not an appealing sort of thing. So painted just the trim. Didn't really do much inside apart from staging inside. And don't forget, it had been on the market for over almost a year and a half, 2 years. We came on the market, we had competing offers and sold for over the asking price, just with the curb appeal of the home. So what is medium scale preparation like? So some homes could benefit with a little more done and get lots of benefits. Things like removing wallpaper and painting neutral colors. That gives the highest return on investment out of anything you could do, and we'll show you why. And landscaping, sometimes just mulch is great, or sometimes taking some more extensive landscaping and minor repairs. So here's an example. If you see the before and the after, it's still green carpet on the floor, but look at the trim color in the room, and the paint was in a bit of it wasn't in great state. But look at the difference that just painting the trim and the walls makes in this home. It feels so much fresher, because what buyers don't like, and I don't want to say that if you've got wood trim, your home isn't as appealing. It's just the buyers, it dates a home, because we typically saw homes with wood trim in the 70s and 80s. If it's still wood trim, it's dating a home. I do have to say that I don't, it depends on each home, because sometimes it's project creep. You paint one room and now every other room that you can see, maybe it needs that too. Maybe that's not a good investment of money. So each one is different, but you can see the difference that it makes. Sometimes wall paint, the color schemes are not fantastic. The buyers want neutral colors, and this might have appealed to the sellers. It really didn't appeal to the buyers. So painting it neutral colors is much more appealing. Here's one where there was wallpaper around a border and the color of the room. This is the final, just so much more appealing from that perspective, and that's what the buyers respond to. We all, or a lot of us, have darker paint colors in rooms. It was a time where dining rooms, people were painting them burgundy or red or very strong colors, and that's fantastic, but it doesn't show well when a buyer comes in the home. Here's that same room that's been painted. This is a color we use a lot, which is called ashwood. We actually have the paint color palettes, some of the really popular paint colors that are used on our website. If you go up to menu on the right hand side, and then under the seller section there's paint color palettes, and you'll be able to see some of the paint colors that we use. Here's another one, wallpaper removal. Unfortunately, the buyers just don't like wallpaper. I had a buyer once tell me we had a home that had about 5 or 6 different vivid wallpapers around a home, and there was, in the living room and the dining room, there was just a fairly subtle white beige striped one. And I asked the sellers to remove all the vivid ones, and they were sort of starting to sort of think, oh, we're done. And so I said to them they could leave the white and beige striped ones. That's okay, it's a bit subtle. A buyer, we didn't sell. A buyer came in one time, and he was looking fairly closely at the wallpaper. So I asked him, well, what's can I ask a question? What do you sort of see as wrong with this wallpaper? And he sort of said, well, it's stuff that my grandma would have in her house. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay. But it wouldn't cost much. I sort of said it wouldn't cost much to remove. And he looked around, living room and dining room. He looked around and he said, yeah, this probably cost me $20,000. And I said, no. It may cost maybe $1,500 to $2,000. It won't cost any more than that. And he looked at me very skeptically and said, you're just trying to sell me the house. This is where we're sort of saying, unfortunately, the buyers don't really know how much some of these things will cost. But that buyer, you could be sure, if he was going to come in with an offer, he would come in with an offer that's $20,000 less, because he would have to spend $20,000 on painting, or on stripping the wallpaper in this room, whereas it wouldn't cost that much. So that's where wallpaper removal, which most buyers don't like, is really important. And then some paint. Here's another one, wallpaper removal. It just looks so much fresher to the buyers without the wallpaper there. Here's another one. Oh, this is a photo from that house I was telling you about. This was one of the
I think I remember that.
Yeah, this is...
I haven't seen some of these before and afters for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I remember that house.
Yeah. So this is in the bathroom, and this was a sort of a silvery
Metallic look. Right?
Yeah, metallic look wallpaper. So I got them to take this down, and also got them to paint the frames of the mirrors. Did we do that? Or did we get the sellers to do it? I thought we...
I don't remember how...
I don't remember. Anyway.
We might have done that. I vaguely remember
I sort of remember that.
Yeah.
Because we were helping out. The seller wasn't real happy at all the wallpaper he had to remove. But here you go. This is how much fresher, just taking the wallpaper down and painting the mirror frames. It now looks like a fresh bathroom that someone could move into and not have to do anything. Here's another example of the wallpaper around and removing the wallpaper. And this again is the Ashwood, Benjamin Moore Ashwood colour with a dove white trim. Just looks so much fresh. I've got to say other words other than fresher, because I'm saying them too much. Anyway, sometimes landscaping and mulch is important. This is, I don't want to get too deep into this. This was a home that the seller was trying to work out, is it a tear down, or is it a home buyer would be interested in it. The end result is, yes, a home buyer was willing to pay far more than a builder was prepared to pay for it. But if you look at this, when you look at this photo, you think, how could you make that look appealing? Well, just with a little landscaping and mulch, here's your finished product. And here's another one. This is where I was saying sometimes you need to take a little bit more down than just mulch and trimming. So this home, you can't even see that there's a side entrance there, because when we took down those big trees, now there's a lot more light coming into the home, and it now the curb appeal is just so much more appealing. And what you can see here is we planted some little weeping maples and some other sort of smaller trees here. That's important because when a buyer would prefer to buy new construction. And typically new construction have very young plantings. So when a buyer's doing a search online and they see this photo, ooh, is that new construction? Well, no, it's not. But the trigger points of young plants is saying to the buyer, ooh, maybe this is, newer. So that's important too. The next one, this is again one of the homes that, do you want to talk a little bit about this one?
No, you're doing really well. Danny wants to stop talking, give it to me. But no, you're doing really well. I don't remember. Oh,
this is your house.
I remember
You're
that.
listing.
I remember that house. Well, again, the same. It follows very much the same lines as the house you saw previously. We clearly removed all of those overgrowns, and as you can see, we put some small shrubs in there to give that impression, that illusion at some level, that it was new construction. But the key thing, and you saw it even more so in the prior picture, by removing those overgrown trees, it adds a lot more light to the inside of the home. When buyers go into the home, they don't want to see a dark house. Merely taking down, and specifically the last photograph, you can just see the difference there with the overgrown trees all over the windows, dark and gloomy inside. Take away the trees, and all of a sudden, bang! In comes the light.
It's bright.
And exactly the same idea here. So you're looking on the right-hand side there. There were some big bushes in front of the windows. Once you took those out, and as well, because I think one of the prior photos was this house too, and you put that fresh, sorry to use the colour. I'm just following what you said. Put new paint in there. All of a sudden.
Why don't you do that all the time?
Well,
sorry.
No, I'm not going to do that.
We're having a marital.
No, I'm not doing that. That then kind of really accentuates the room and makes it look back to what we were trying to do all along here, making it move-in ready. So that's the trick with all of that, is kind of, as well as the photography and the rest of it. But as you can see here, we didn't actually have the chance when we put this home on the market to finish the lawn. We just didn't have the chance to do it. But what we did do is kind of take away those trees, because it kind of, now you can see the house.
And you had competing offers on the home.
We did.
Absolutely.
We did.
So now, larger scale preparation. So when we say larger scale, it involves a little bit more work, but it will increase the sales value of the home by quite a lot. And you're probably going to sort of say, well, how much? Each is different, but things like painting over bathroom tubs. We'll show you some examples. Painting older kitchen and bathroom wood vanities or wood cabinetry. Removing carpets if hardwoods are underneath and refinishing the floors. Let's get in and show you some examples. Here's one where we did nothing else in the kitchen. We didn't replace appliances, didn't do anything else apart from paint the cabinets. It still had carpet on the floor because there was no hardwoods underneath it, but it still had hardwoods on the floor.
Carpets on the floor.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
But painting the kitchen cabinets made it feel a little bit fresher than, the wood cabinetry. Unfortunately, the buyers don't like wood cabinetry at the moment. This has probably been in place for the last 10 years, which is why the builders are all building homes with white kitchen cabinets and white cabinetry. It's because the buyers don't want to touch wood, which is a problem for us when we go to sell in many years' time, because we have wood. Maybe it'll be back in style by then.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
We'll see.
Fingers crossed. I'm banking on that, by the way. I'm just banking on that.
So here's one which had very, very dark kitchen cabinetry. You can see that. And look at the difference it makes when you paint it white. Now, we did replace the granite here because there were some stains and some damage to the existing countertops. So we got a cheaper granite and had that put in. But look at the freshness of this home. There was, apart from painting the kitchen cabinets and some new granite, there was nothing else done to it. Here's one. This is Marcus in the picture. This is some...
Wearing a suit, I might add.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It has actually been a long
Marcus does
time.
back-end stuff now. So.
Yeah, it's been a long... Last time we did a real masterclass in person was the last time I put a suit on, I think. I think it was the last
An in-person one. So that was
which we'll get back to by the, I think,
maybe
end
2
of the
years
year.
ago.
Yeah, I think end of the year we'll be back doing those in person, but
yeah,
we'll see.
So with this home, we did do a little bit more because it was in a prime location in the town. So we could do a little bit more and we were going to get a huge return on investment, which did end up happening. But here you can see the kitchen. This was a very, very, very old kitchen, but look at the paint on it. It comes up really quite freshly. We did get some stainless steel appliances put in and we did get some granite put in. Most of the money that we spent on this home was done in the kitchen because it was what was going to pull the buyers in and it was what was going to make the difference as to whether we were going to get an okay return or a really, really good return. And we got a really, really good return.
And I guess this depends on the price. Can the house carry that additional work you're putting in at the end of the day?
And this house could. Yes, that's a good point to mention, yes. So each home, as we were sort of saying, no one answer fits all. So, and there was this home. All we did in this home is paint the kitchen cabinets and paint the walls as well. But here's an example of the difference it makes. The older oak cabinets, they're looking pretty dated. We actually painted the trim in this home as well. You can sort of see the trim has been painted. But look at the difference this makes in how the home feels. I should have gotten the painters to paint the light fixture. Didn't spot that until afterwards. But this home had, I think we had something like 18 offers on it. And it sold for way over the asking price. Here's another one. Now, this is an interesting story. I won't go into the story, but this is an example of a master bathroom. It had been on the market with another agent, not selling. The seller called us in, came in, recommended that they paint the kitchen cabinets, and the seller was a little uncertain whether that was a good thing to do, and decided after thinking about it 24 hours, sort of said, yeah, okay, we'll paint the kitchen cabinets. And then contacted me a couple of days later and said, I love the look of the kitchen cabinets, so I decided to do the master bathroom as well. So that's the master bathroom that she did. But it comes up really, really nicely. I thought it probably would have been okay to leave this. It was the kitchen that was the important one to have done. But again, the master bathroom being painted white is brilliant too. Here's an example of a home that needs wall paint and carpet removal. This isn't going to be an attractive home or will get a high price for a home. Yet once we come in and just put some paint on the walls, and actually we ended up putting LVT. No, this is sheet vinyl we put down because it was more cost effective. Again, as Marcus was saying, it depends on the price point of the home. And this was a lower priced home in Malden. So we wanted to use a lower, the sale or the listing price, the seller would have been spending too much money to put hardwoods down or to put carpets down. We just went with a lower priced alternative, and we had, I think there was 20 offers on that one. We had a lot of offers on that one, yeah.
Last year.
Here's one where painting the walls, removing the carpets and refinishing the floors makes the home... What does it make the home?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a word there. Fresher. No, that's the word. Definitely fresher.
Sorry.
I guess you have to remember...
I can't think of another word.
There you go. You have to remember here, though, that these hardwoods were not installed.
No.
They were actually underneath the carpet that was there.
Yeah.
And often, in many cases, they're in very good condition because they've been covered for 20, 30 years by carpet.
Yeah.
And so when you take the carpet up, they're in pristine condition.
Pristine.
They just need a light buffing in many cases.
Yeah. And the buyers much, much, much prefer hardwoods. So if that's the case, take the carpets up and refinish the floors. Here's another one where this was a home. It had wall-to-wall carpet throughout it, hardwoods underneath it. So we took the carpets up and refinished the floors, and we painted the walls. So this just shows you the difference in how the room feels compared to this with the different components that are done. Here's another one, wallpaper removal, wallpaper removal and paint, carpet removal and refinish floors. That's the before and this is the after. Huge difference. And this one, a lot of folks don't realize this is a laminate table, and we've got wallpaper on the walls and we've got some cafe curtains. Have a look at the difference by painting the laminate tabletop, painting the walls and removing the cafe curtains. It looks a lot, this was a dated home. This was a home, even with not even changing the light fixture, this was a home a young family would sort of think, yeah, let's move in. This is great. We don't need to do anything to the home for a number of years. That's the goal of doing this. The buyers it's move in ready and they don't need to do anything to the home. They can just move in, relax, and start enjoying the home. That's when they pay the most money for it. Here's another one. The tiles. A lot of folks have tiles like this in their bathrooms and they date a home. But look at what happens to them when you just paint them. Benjamin Moore sell a bonding primer that is applied to the tiles first and then paint on top of it. And it also paints, the bonding primer is used on laminate counters. What you can sort of see here is a laminate counter with paint on it, and you've got the wood cabinetry with paint on it. We didn't do anything else in this bathroom. As you can tell, the old sinks were there. We didn't do anything else in it, but the home sold with competing offers. Here's another one. Blue tiles, dating the home. You see, what happens is when a buyer stands at the door of this bathroom, this before, they're thinking, okay, before we move in, we need to renovate the bathroom. We need to renovate.
Yep.
We need to keep $25,000 off to the side because we have to renovate. We can't touch that. We need to renovate. We can't move into that bathroom as it is. With paint, they're standing at the doorway. They think, oh, wow, okay, yeah, this is pretty good. We've done nothing except paint. That's the difference in how the buyers perceive the difference. And again, this is just painted tiles. The blue tiles are still there. It's just paint on them. Here's another example of the tiles, painted tiles. And what you can sort of see here is laminate vanity, and it's a real swirly pattern vanity, and they're a bit, it dates a home. And what you can sort of see here, it's been painted, but in this next one you'll see it a bit better. That's the before, and here's the after, and there's your painted tiles as well. This bathroom is one that the buyers could move in and use it for a couple of years before they sort of think maybe it's time to renovate the home. But we've gotten more money for the seller because the buyers realize that they don't need to do anything to the home to be able to move in. Here's an example with your tiles with paint on them. This is another one where we painted the laminate counter and we painted the cabinets because they were in rough shape. But again, here you've got a lot fresher look a cleaner look. Let's try cleaner than what it was before. And here's another one where you've got the swirly pattern counter and vanity, and you've got the tiles. This is what it looks like once you've put paint on it. Makes a huge difference. Now, again though, we don't recommend renovating unless you're going to be in the home for at least a couple of years. Well, this was the before bathroom, tiles on the wall, wallpaper, old sink, all this sort of stuff. Well, the sellers were planning on keeping the home for 2, 3, 4 years. So we came in and recommended some renovations. Putting in a white cabinet, a white vanity with the quartz counters, some marble lookalike tiles, new tub and shower, new flooring. It makes a difference. But that's only really useful if you're going to be in the home for a number of years. Let's look at this. Kitchen cabinets. I know I mentioned this before. Here's some real life examples of where it's made a difference. This one on the left is a before image. It was on the market for 103 days with another agent, not selling, didn't sell. It came off the market, the sellers got us in, and the only thing we did in the home was came in and painted the kitchen cabinets, and we put in 2 appliances. This home that had been unsold for 103 days, we had competing offers on it and sold it for way over asking price, we staged the home as well. But that was the only difference, the only cosmetic improvement we did to the home at that point. Here's another example. Here's a photo of where, and we sort of say all of these things that we recommend, they're just recommendations. You don't have to do them. So in this, the sellers decided that they didn't want to do any of the painting that we recommended. So this is a photo of the home with some of the staging and things that we had done. We didn't sell it. They then moved out because they'd already bought something else. So we came in after they moved out. We painted almost the whole home, but mainly the kitchen. We staged again, and then we came on the market and we sold it for $70K over the asking price with paint. And it certainly didn't cost the sellers $70K to paint, to do the paint that we had recommended. So there's a real life example of the difference it makes doing these examples. Wall trim and paint and kitchen cabinets. Look, we suggested painting the cabinets to white, left the appliances, didn't touch the appliances. We suggested painting the wainscoting and the trim. Here's the end result. Now, we've still left the blue countertops. We didn't change anything other than paint. Competing offers. It sold for way over asking. Here's another example. Just trying to sort of give you an idea.
I'm going to take the dog upstairs. The dog just kind of wandered in. Come on.
Let me keep going. So here's another example. I'm just trying to sort of show you example after example of the difference that you can see in how the buyers feel about paint. That's all we're doing in a lot of these circumstances. So this one, we painted the kitchen cabinets and took the wallpaper down and painted the walls. And this is the, this is the end result. The next one, this one, I don't know if you remember the photo of the one in landscaping where it was in really overgrown outside, and we said the seller was trying to decide whether it was a tear down or to a home buyer. Well, this is what one of the photos looks like inside in the kitchen. 2 agents had come in and told the seller that it was a tear down, and they bought offers from a builder of $550. We came in and sort of said, you know, there's really good bones to this house. I think if we just sort of put some paint around, we're going to get a really good return on investment. So we recommended paint, refinishing the floors, some landscaping, some minor repairs, and we had competing offers on the home and sold it for $710. Now, that we actually had a $750 offer, but that $750 offer had an inspection contingency, and the seller decided to go with the $710 offer, where it was no inspection, no mortgage. It was they wanted to sleep at night, and that's a really good, that's fine too. But that's the difference with just paint making. Nothing was done to the appliances, nothing was done to the countertops, just paint on the walls and paint in the cabinets, as well as the refinishing the floors and the landscaping. So now we have prepared the home. Okay, what comes next? So next is staging. Why? Well, it's important to wow the buyers when they walk in the door. We will get the highest price for a home when a buyer walks in the door and they look around and they think, wow, I really like this home. They've got a positive visceral feel when they've walked in. That's when they'll pay the most money. And often that is staging. Now, staging comes in many different flavors. Most people live in their home and will stage with your furniture as well. But if your home's vacant, we'll stage the home completely. So here's some examples. This is a home that this was the before. Just wanted to show you a few examples of before, prepped, and then staging to see the difference that staging makes. So that's the before. Now we've got the after. It's got paint on it. Okay, looks pretty good. Now it's staged. It looks so much better, and so that's a home that's going to appeal to buyers just by walking in the door and feeling themselves living in this home. They don't feel themselves living in a home if it's vacant. This is a mistake that's made all the time. The home should be staged. A home should never be sold vacant. And every room staged too, not just 3 rooms. Here's another example. Carpet icky, walls icky. Here it is painted. And this was this example of the home in Malden that we came in and did. So here's the image of the home with prior to staging. Now check out what it looks like staged. A buyer's going to walk in and think, wow, because it's created an emotional response from the buyer, and it's critical to getting the highest price. Other agents charge for this service, or the seller pays the staging company directly. We include it as part of our services for our sellers. We have our own truck, we have our own staging team, all of this sort of stuff. It's part of it's included as part of the services, because it will get you more money and it'll sell your home quicker, and you'll tell all your friends about us. See, that's how that.
There you go.
But so what we've got here is, let's talk about some stats. 83% of buyers agents said a staged home helped buyers visualize the property as a future home and pay more money. 25% of buyers agents said potential buyers increased their offer between 1% and 5% on a staged home, according to NAR, the National Association of Realtors. Look, if someone's increasing their offer by 5% because the home's staged, let's talk about $1 million home. $1 million home is 5,000? 50,000. You see, I can't do math at the moment because I'm trying to talk. $50,000 increase just because it's got staging in it is powerful. And 85% of homes surveyed were sold for 6 to 25% more than homes that were not staged. These are metrics from organizations that do this for a living. So what is the staging? It begins with a pre-staging visit. We provide a summary of recommendations within about 24 hours. It can range from suggestions on furniture placement, storage of furniture, supplemental furniture and accent pieces to create the wow factor. And it's all about fully staging a vacant home. Here's an example. Here's one. It was 206 days on the market, unsold with another agent. Hard to work out what that room is. As soon as it's staged, oh yeah, okay, it was the dining room. And after listing with us and staging and minor updates, we had competing offers and sold it for 2265. Again, 206 days, not selling, staging, selling, competing offers. Here's that same home. And again, the difference between the two living rooms is powerful. This is a home that, if this was left vacant, I don't know, what is that room? Well, with furniture, oh, it's the dining room. It helps a buyer understand what some rooms are and doesn't leave them guessing as to what they could do or how they could use the room. Here's one, a living room. It's a beautiful looking room. It looks even more stunning once there's furniture in the room. Here's one, bedroom. Wow, feels an awful lot better than the vacant one. We can also see this with new construction. This is a few days before we came into stage. Lovely room, but look at it with staging in it. It just looks so much more powerful. So much more powerful with a buyer imagining themselves living in that room and how they would place furniture in. But it's not just indoor furniture. Oh, I messed this up. Look at that. Oh, there you go. That was meant to come straight away. It includes outdoor furniture if necessary. If you've got a large patio or a large deck or something and it looks a bit bare, we bring outdoor furniture as well. So do you remember that one I mentioned that was a for sale by owner, then on the market for over a year with another agent, then it was a for sale by owner? This was one of the photos of it being staged. And then we came in and staged it, painted the outside, the trim at the front, and sold for over asking price. Now, why did the staging make so much? Why did it have such a powerful impact? Well, this is another example of that same home. It had some unique spaces, versatile spaces, unique floor plan. You know, you sort of hear those phrases being used. When the home's vacant, it's really obvious when a buyer walks through and they think, I don't get this, because here we've got a living room at the front of the home. The front door's over there. And then you've got the dining room, clearly, because of the chandelier. And the buyers would be walking through here and thinking, I don't get what I use this room for. I don't really understand it. So, come in with staging furniture. The front's staged as a living room. Middle room is staged as a dining room. And here we have our pre or post dinner drinks room. That's how I'd be able to use the room. That's the power of staging. It helps buyers understand what a room is all about. If it's, and this house did have a few unique areas. Here's an example of a vacant room and with staging furniture in. This feels inviting. Another one, empty dining room with furniture in it. Here's another one with, now, you know, this isn't how the home was going to be left to come on the market, but they really didn't have much furniture in this room. So we come in with furniture and it's clearly a living room. Here's another one with the home is, they had already moved out, left a few pieces behind, but we came in and staged it. And because we had, some different color tones, we brought in appropriate furniture to play on those color tones. Again, when we use sellers' furniture, we can move things around, and sometimes most of the time, people are living in their home. And here's an example where you can see these chairs, these armchairs, they're those same armchairs that were there. But guess what? We got them to roll up the multicolored carpet and put a beige white tufted rug down and brought in some more furniture. Feels a lot nicer. This is an example of a photo that was a home that was on the market for 3 months with another agent. It didn't sell. They called us in. We got them to paint one wall. We got them to paint that wall. We staged the home with supplementing their furniture. You can see this chair is theirs. This is theirs. This is theirs. But we brought in all of these other accent pieces and got them to roll up the rugs and all this. We had competing offers on the home and sold it for way over asking. Whew, that was a long go. Marcus, I think you're on. Okay. You've been sitting very quiet.
I have.
Yeah. I like interrupting and he doesn't. Okay, so keep going then, dear.
All right, marketing it is. Kind of the next piece of this, of course, is, having gone through preparation, staging, now you need to market the home. And it's clear that in this market specifically, it's really around that kind of digital media that's really going to get the highest price for your home. And what's interesting is that, as Danny mentioned before, direct correlation between the number of people who view the digital media and how many viewings, how many people come to the home and so on. There's a direct correlation really between those. And so in order so that we can see exactly what's going on, how popular a house is going to be, and more importantly, the sellers can do that, we put together this listing dashboard. Let me give you here's a screenshot of it. And actually I've got, if I can show you the real thing for a second. Here it is here. It's a little smaller on this one, but let me show you it anyway. So here's the MA Properties app. One key part of it is the dashboard. A lot of other information on it, but I just want to focus a little bit on this, for example. And I'm going to show you what happened to the house that we talked about previously that had that 22 offers on it. So here it is here. What you can see here at the lower part of the screen is how many viewings there were, in this case of the 3D tour. You can also see how many viewings there were of the floor plan. Follows a similar trajectory. And essentially that trajectory is common as well, because what we're finding is that when we bring a home on the market on a Thursday, we get a huge number of showings. Friday gets a lot, and then it begins to dip over the weekend. And it dips over the weekend as people are not necessarily looking at the digital view assets. They're actually out looking at the home. They're going to perhaps do an open house. They're going to do private showings. They're actually looking at the home. And then we come to the Monday. Now they're reintroducing themselves to the home. And that's where the number of views ticks up again. So we see that kind of graph. This is one reason why it's so important when you bring a home on the market to have everything ready, because as soon as you put the home on the market, the buyers are immediately looking at it and immediately looking at everything you have: video, 3D tour, photographs, narrative, all of that, feature sheet, all of that. They're looking at all of that, assuming you have all of that. And I kind of cheated because we have all of that and more, as it turns out. So thought it important to kind of show you the way we're doing this. And we specifically want our sellers, actually our buyers too, we have this dashboard for our buyers too, but specifically here in this masterclass, our sellers get to see how many views of those assets. And they begin to get a sense of, back to what Danny was mentioning about being overpriced. If those numbers are somewhat depressed, then perhaps they came on the market a little bit too high. And we had that situation arise sometime last year, middle of last year. Really, the number of views was depressed. And so the seller came to the conclusion that, I overpriced it, didn't I? Yeah, you did. And it was kind of, you could see it directly from the data that was there.
And when we didn't get offers in on the Tuesday, it's funny because he called on the Saturday and I said, we're not going to get offers on Tuesday, are we? And I said, well, it's not looking likely at the moment, and he said, should we adjust the price now? And I said, no, let's just wait until Tuesday because we only need one buyer. Anyway, we didn't get offers on the Tuesday. So talking to him on the Tuesday night, he said, what do we do? Do we adjust the price? And I said, well, yeah, I think we should because the numbers are there. So he adjusted down into the market value range that we had, and we planned to review offers the following Tuesday. And he called me again on the Saturday and he said, we're going to get offers, aren't we? Looking at the response, we're going to get offers. I said, yeah, it looks like it. We had 5 offers on the home and sold it for the original asking price. So he was really pleased. But that's where the data tells us what's going on.
Right. So what are the different components of the marketing piece? And I've listed them here, but clearly we'll show you examples in a moment. Not as many as the before and afters, but just some examples. I couldn't possibly do as many as before and after. Some of those houses I don't even remember.
Yes.
Some I do remember.
I spent a long time putting
some
it
of
together.
them I do remember. So there's a lot of different components of marketing, and it's important that you have all of them. Because if you think about today's consumer, some are clearly going to retail outlets, but a large number of them are doing all of their shopping online. And they're doing exactly the same for their house. And when they shop online, almost no matter what you look at, they're going to have a website, they're going to have great photography, they'll probably have a video, you certainly will be able to go to YouTube to figure out how to use something. In the case of a house, more and more people want to virtually walk around the home. And so today's consumers are used to having all of the marketing available to them. And why shouldn't they have that for a home? And it never surprises us, actually. But
you should demand.
Right.
Yeah.
We're always surprised at the poor quality of the marketing that $1 million+ asset would have. Imagine any of $1 million asset having some of the poor marketing that we're going to give you a quick example of here. It would be unheard of. And so it really is, and we feel quite strongly, but very strongly about this, that it really is up to the sellers to demand to have all of these components. Photography, is a great example. This is actually the same room. Neither of these photographs are ours, I should add in this case. But it's the same room. And if you look at this photograph, you can see that in both cases some staging was done. The home has been prepared, it's been staged, and then the marketing let it down. This is important because as buyers are trying to get to see homes, and as they have a choice on a weekend which home to go and see, clearly in this case they're going to go to the home that's on the right, not the home that's on the left. And so photography really does matter. And there are examples after examples of poor photography. Here's a couple. This one's out of focus if you can see it.
Yeah, and this is a photograph of one of the top 10 agents in an area, and to be honest, his sale price to list price ratio last year was something like 95% or 94%. But anyway, it's part of the quality of the marketing that they do. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but yeah, it is.
And you compare it, clearly with one on the right-hand side, which is the marketing, actually from that new construction that Danny showed you just 3-4 slides ago. This is the kitchen of that new construction. Clearly, the preparation, the staging, and now the marketing needs to accentuate that, not pull away from it. Here's another example. That was the staging is not very good, clearly, and slightly out of focus. No preparation here. It doesn't take very much to tidy the room, but looking at these photographs, and bear in mind this is the first thing that a potential buyer looks at, this home is poorly prepared. and it's poorly photographed.
It looks like with that one before, it looks like the agent's gone over to talk to the sellers about selling their home. The seller said, yeah, let's do it. And the agent's gotten their iPhone out and
Literally
click,
kind
click,
of done
click,
this with the phone and there they go.
and hasn't done any preparation whatsoever. And that's why they get a lower sale price to list price ratio. It's important to do this stuff.
Right. Here's another example, no staging, out of focus. Here's another one.
This was
out
at
of
home
focus.
just recently.
Yeah. So photography, as I say, is the first thing that the potential buyers look at, and they have a choice. You know, do they go to the house that looks like the one on the left, or do they go to the one that looks on the right? Different price point, of course, but you know, it matters, and they have a choice. And so, high quality photographs, absolutely, it's a must for all homes. The next thing that the consumers today are used to, of course, is video. Video for everything. You know, if you're trying to find how to do something, you go to YouTube to find it. And therefore, you need to have a complementary set of videos about the home. For example, we showed you 4 examples here. There's the standard video walkthrough we have. We also have a virtual open house where the listing agent will go through and show you all aspects of the home as if they are, you know, showing a potential buyer around the home.
Or a buyer is doing an open house.
Right.
Yeah, attending.
Opening all the cabinets, looking at, you know, giving you a description of everything you're seeing, going to the unfinished basement, and so on, kind of all aspects of it. Top 5 reasons you love your home. That's very popular. What are the 5 reasons you like this home? And then, you know, a lifestyle video for the more expansive properties as well. So a whole range of videos targeted at specific questions that a potential consumer, in this case a potential buyer, would have, exactly as you would expect, you know, for other high-end products that you're selling. What's specific to real estate is really the 3D tour. I won't go into it. It takes, you know, time to kind of navigate around it, but this is a way for the consumer to walk around that home as if they are there. And when you think about the speed with which a buyer today needs to make a decision about whether to make an offer or not to make an offer on a home, they don't really get that long physically in the home. It may be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, that's it. But what the 3D tour allows them to do is spend as long as they want in the home. It allows them to go everywhere in the home, look up, down, left, right, go upstairs, downstairs, everywhere they would want to go. Hugely important for buyer's remorse. We call it buyer's remorse where somebody changes their mind. Many times because they haven't spent that long in the home. 3D tour really solves that problem. If you're worried at 2 o'clock in the morning before you write the offer, how big was the closet upstairs? Go to the 3D tour. There's your answer. It's hugely important. Having got all of this, as well as some, you know, beautiful narrative around the home, you need to pull it all together into a website. This is an example of one home that we listed this year, 27merriam.com. Everything about, in this case 27 Merriam, in Lexington it was, is on that website. 3D tour, all the videos are there, the property brochure is there, the narrative, the photographs, the maps, the floor plan, you name it, everything is on that, in that location. So having pulled that together, now we need to think about getting in front of potential buyers. Clearly there is the Zillows and the Redfins and those different portals. That's automatic. All homes that go into the multiple listing service get that. But we can add more to that. And we have 2 strategies here. The first strategy is broad. Take those assets that we've just shown you, the great photography, the video, the 3D tour, and be broad, relative broad, not broad in terms of national, broad in terms of the area around where we are situated. Because it's kind of interesting. Some information we found out the other day. In the Boston area, about 80% of buyers actually live in the Boston area. So there are clearly, 20% that move in, that relocate in, but there's not a massive number of buyers that come in from outside Massachusetts in. Actually only 20%. 80% already live here. And so this is why this social media strategy is perfect because you can push it broadly, perhaps 5-10 miles, and you're going to touch a large number of the potential buyers of that home. You don't need to market it in Arizona. It doesn't make any sense. Zillow and Redfin will do that for them. We'll be on those platforms, and that's where somebody outside the state will be looking. But in terms of social media and pushing it out, really does make sense to be broad, but not very far, reducing the density of people. So broad is the first strategy. Then, of course, you want to go very targeted. So if somebody came to an open house, for example, at a home that was priced at $750, we're bringing on another home price at $750, they probably want to know that that home's coming on the market. So let's target those potential buyers. You came to a $750, another one's coming on the market at $740 or $790. You may be interested in this. So going very targeted based on the large number of potential buyers that we have within our internal database. So broad initially with social media, and then very targeted in terms of this. The key thing with all of this, though, is that unless you have all of those assets, the video, the 3D tour, the video, and it's of a high quality, you're just not going to get it in front of people. You're just not. People are going to see it on their newsfeed, for example, on a social media platform, and it's going to zip by. You really need to have those high quality. So social media strategy is all very well, but you also need to have a very, very solid set of digital assets, if you want, for want of a better word, that you can actually put on those platforms. So marketing very much does matter. You can't. It is huge.
No matter what market we're in.
That's true. Even in this,
this
market. Maybe you want to talk about this one.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's all about marketing is to get the most people in the home. Because if we talk about basic ratios, let's talk about basic ratios. Let's say 10% of the buyers who come in to see a home will fall in love with it. If we've had 6 buyers, let's do 10 buyers. Maybe we'll get one offer because 10% of the buyers will fall in love with the home, 10 buyers in to see the home, maybe one offer. If we've gotten 100 buyers in, those same ratios will tell us that we've potentially got 10 buyers that will fall in love with the home. It's so important to get it's all about exposure, getting the home in front of as many people as possible and getting as many buyers in to see the home. Do you think this home that came on the market in
What's important
October
here is you can
2020?
see, I'm going to use my pointer again here, wouldn't I? Right? There we go. There it is.
It was on the market 0 days. It came on the market, let's say, I don't know, but let's say it came on the market at 10 in the morning and it was under agreement by 12 noon. How many buyers got to see that home? You can be sure that the seller would have gotten far more money for the home if more buyers got in to see it. Marketing is so important.
And it's important for price as well. So here's some information. We pull this information together every year. We look at different towns and we look at the listings in those towns. And for example, how many listings had 42 photographs, which is the most that the multiple listing service currently allows. How many had floor plans? How many had videos? How many had 3D tours? Here's the information for 2020. Actually,
in Lexington.
In Lexington. The data for 2019 was even scarier because the number of videos and number of 3D tours in 2019 was about 4 to 5%.
Yeah.
So it's much lower. So the numbers you're seeing here are much higher than you would traditionally see. And it will be interesting to see how quickly we get back to those numbers.
We've already seen some of the folks who, because of the pandemic, we better get a 3D tour. They're already not doing 3D tours on homes. It'll drop it.
What's important from this data, though, is as we look at all of the other listings, you can see the average sale price to list price ratio is 100%. As we look at ours, and unsurprisingly, given that we've made such a big play of marketing here, we always have 42 photos, we always have a floor plan, we always have a video, 3D tour, etc., etc. Our sale price to list price ratio, the average was 103%. So there's a 3% difference. And when you think about the average price, this data was pulled from Lexington. The average price in Lexington probably this year about 1.5 million. 3% of that's clearly an awful lot of money. So marketing does matter. I mean, to say that it doesn't matter is a fallacy. It clearly does. It matters not just in real estate, it matters in all consumer, in all consumer.
And we need to point out, we don't have staging, for instance, as one of these metrics of marketing.
Right.
Because when we're looking at the photos of a home that's on the market, we don't know if it's the seller's furniture or if it's staging furniture. And rather than misrepresent data, we'd prefer just to not even include staging on this metric.
It's also, I'm sure you mentioned it while I was away.
Probably, no.
We stage every room. It's important to stage every room.
No, I didn't mention that.
Okay, we stage every room. Many agents do not. They'll stage a kitchen, a living room, and a dining room, and maybe the master bedroom. But it's important to stage all of the rooms because, I'm sure you mentioned this, that's how people visualize, for example, will their bed fit in this bedroom by seeing a bed that's actually in it. So it's important.
I didn't.
You missed
There's
all
too
of that.
much to talk about.
No, there was 2 minutes before and after, Danny. See? I should have given it.
And that sort of stuff we typically do in our
right.
normal monthly masterclasses. So you'll just have to join us for one of those, okay?
Next month.
And then
Next
you'll
month.
hear all of those
Extra things that you missed this time. So, marketing matters not just in real estate. It matters saying clearly in all kinds of retail. And real estate is no more than another retail sector.
But
so it's huge, right? It's hugely important, and it makes a real difference. If say 3% of 1.5 million, you do the numbers. That's a big number, and so that's what matters. So
excellence through teamwork. We are nearly done.
Yes,
you'll be pleased to know we're nearly done. So people sort of say, well, what's important about us having a team? Well, what's important about us having a team we've got specialists working on every component of bringing your home on the market. I could stage. I have in the past.
I can't.
But our staging coordinator is far better at it than I am. And all of these different components, we've got specialists in these fields that do this work so that you get the highest quality. Now, what we say teamwork too is the client is the center of our universe. I mean, I guess that's a nice play on words, isn't it? The client's the center of our universe.
That's true.
Actually, you are. You are the center of our universe because we're all working to get you the highest price. So you've got the agent working with you, you've got the listing coordination, closing coordination, preparation, the staging, marketing. And I'm going to go into some of these in a minute to explain a little bit more about this. But basically, we're all working with the client, with the seller, to get the highest price for the home. When we talk about what our core values are, let's talk about that. Integrity and ethical behavior. That's number one. That's number one. That's not something that's known in the real estate industry, unfortunately. We have a bad reputation. We're doing our best to change the behavior. And integrity and ethical behavior is really important to us.
We're going to go down a rabbit hole.
I'm going to go down a rabbit hole, so I'm stopping.
I'm going to go down there.
Education, not selling. That's why we're doing these masterclasses month after month after month. It's all about education, not doing a hard sell, and exceptional customer service. It's important because you want a professional versus an Aunt Mary to work on selling your home, someone that does it day in and day out and will get you the highest price. What a lot of folks don't realize is that there's a term in the industry called a 3 Ps agent. So you don't want a 3 Ps agent. And what's a 3 Ps agent? A 3 Ps agent is someone who'll put a sign out front, who'll put it into MLS and then praise. That's not going to get you the highest price for the home. And why? So it's not just us saying that. The National Association of Realtors commissioned an independent study last year, the year before, year before, I think. And the number one threat to the real estate industry is masses of marginal agents destroy reputation. The real estate industry is saddled with a large number of part-time, untrained, unethical, and/or incompetent agents. This knowledge gap threatens the credibility of the industry. So it's not us saying that. It's really important that the agent that you choose, you demand that they do the marketing that's required to sell the home. You want them to help you give advice on what prep to do with the home, not just come in with an iPhone and take photos the day they first visit with you, and then stage the home and explain to you what's going on with the market. It's so important. So who are the agents in our team? There's me, there's Marcus. We've got Rachel and Corinne. We've got another Rachel. We've got Dawn, Wenjen, Yuki, and Andrew. And I have to say, we have a really great team. We have a lot of fun together. But that's not why. That's great. But when we're talking about advanced selling strategies, we've been talking about a lot of the things behind the scenes that the agent is involved in, but we've got specialists to do this. So we thought we'd give you a snapshot of who our specialists are that do a lot of this work. So the preparation, we have Susan Sullivan. She's our listing manager. She will obtain quotes to get work done on the home. She'll also oversee the work in conjunction with the seller. She writes verbiage on a home that, wow, I can't tell you how many sellers have told us that, reading what she's written about their home has evoked such emotional responses from them, and other buyers tell us this as well. She is really good at that. Now, I can do it, but she does it far better than I do. That description brings a home to life, and as I put in here, it stirs the imagination of the buyers. She's also our contractor whisperer. They will do anything for her, and part of that is really important in making sure we can get the contractors in on a timely fashion, get the work done, and get out again quickly. Then we've got staging. Christina McKenna is our staging manager. She manages the process from pre-staging to staging to de-staging. She manages the part-time professional stages, the movers, and our truck. She manages our staging inventory database and warehouse. And her job is to make your home stand out from all the rest. That's her job. And she does it really, really well. Then we have Glenn Giles. He's our marketing manager. He's a social media guru. It's a millennial. He's a millennial. He's a social media guru. Does all of the digital marketing. He's our content creator. He does the 3D tours, he's a videographer, he's the photographer, and he's also a graphic designer. So he's very, very bright and very, very clever at this. Sorry, talented. Yes. And then our closing manager is Sherry McGondal. She's a sweetheart. Actually, they're all sweethearts. I shouldn't single out Sherry as being a sweetheart. They're all sweethearts. She shepherds the purchase from offer to closing. She arranges for smoke and carbon monoxide inspections. She arranges the final water. She coordinates buyer visits after the home's from under agreement to closing. And she assists the seller with whatever's necessary to help get to closing. Some of the stories we hear of what Sherry's doing is quite amazing, because Sherry, why were you changing a smoke detector?
Oh, yes. Sherry's our smoke detector guru. That's for sure.
And
she knows all the fire departments.
She
knows exactly what each fire department needs, and that's the trick. Because that's what Sherry does. Very good at it. She knows exactly what each town needs. Yeah. And so as get to that point, Sherry can advise in terms of what you should or shouldn't do. Yeah. So that's the key, and that's
having specialists
right.
Doing
that's
it.
Why we have specialists in the team to do that.
Yep. Yeah. And then we've got Lisa Lupo. She's the broker assistant. She helps me with anything and everything. She coordinates sellers masterclasses. You might have gotten an email from her giving you confirmation and streaming information. She's the go-to person if you need me. And I'm not responding to, if I'm out all day and you need something urgently, you just call Lisa and she'll get onto me, or you call me. But maybe I'm not answering my phone. I always answer my phone. Anyway, she'll be following up with you now as well as moving forward to help in any way. Then we have Maria Mann. She's our accountant. She assists Marcus with anything and everything.
Yep.
Manages our escrow account, manages our books, does payroll and all other accounting sort of stuff to keep the business running both day to day and in the future. So what do you do next? What do you do next? Steps to success. Get us into advise, even 5 years in advance. Plan your move. Where? When? Do you need to sell to be able to buy? You know, your order of buying or selling depends on the finances and the market. Start preparing your home. I was talking to someone today. She's going to start getting some paint going around the home because she wants to sell next year. So start doing it, you know, and make it easy for yourself. Information's key. We have a Selling Essentials video series. If you're on our homepage and you scroll down, video library, one of those is Selling Essentials. There's over 100 Selling Essential videos on all different sorts of topics, whether it's general, whether it's you know, preparation, whether it's on the market and closing. All sorts of questions are answered, and I'm going to be adding more to those as I go. But I've done about 100
as the season slows down. Right?
You can't. Yes. Don't have time.
I've got the task of doing the buyer essential videos. But that's going to be when the season slowed down as well.
And then
we will get around to it this year.
Yeah. Get us in for a market analysis. That's easy. I often do market analyses years in advance of a seller wanting to sell, and it just gives you an understanding of how much your home's worth now. And then we update it when you're getting ready to come on the market. And again, just, you know, the excellence through teamwork, partnering with you. If you reach out to anyone in the team, they'll help. Exceptional customer service is our aim, and communication is key both ways. I always like this, relax, we've got this. We can help. Because we think that our client deserves to be the smartest person at the closing table, and that we all benefit by becoming smarter about home buying and selling. And on that note, we are done.
We are done. Finally, we are done.
And we had some questions. Look, if you've got any other questions afterwards, then please don't hesitate to reach out. You can get our information on Meet the Team. If you don't know the telephone numbers or emails, things like this, we'd love to help. And Smart Decisions, tomorrow night, 6 and 7. Yes. We're talking depth about what's going on in the market. Data about what's going on in 2 markets in the area. So, with that, bye. We'll go and have some dinner now. Thank you for joining us.